Good day. We're cloning goji berries, mulberry, and mint, and a comfrey plant. Got your handy dandy permaculture poking stick. You got your raised bed, hugelkultur, cardboarded, permaculture, earthworks raised beds. And then what we do is we poke a hole as deep as we can. I'm switching hands on the GoPro. Hey, thanks GoPro. Appreciate this. Hey, thanks Adam and everybody who supports food foresting out there. So, there's a goji berry clone. And I've been having really good success in this climate to just poke about a 6-inch stick right into the ground. Show you again. See? Poke a hole. You get a goji berry and you stick it in the hole. And then it'll go through some transplant shock, but from everywhere that we do this, just add water and you'll see here soon that all these goji berries will be a foot tall by next full moon. So it's the 19th today. See, goji berry. Poke them in, and there you go. So eventually this is going to be goji berry dominant, and I'm going to be using this area to clone goji berries to take over the rest of the yard. It's extremely hardy. It even grows wild in this climate in Texas and Arizona and places where it was brought here. So let's do a mint. So you can see a mint. This is pineapple mint. And I have a lot of success here in this part of Texas with pineapple mint. Just poking a hole in and putting it in the dirt. And then rinse, wash, and repeat. And as these grow bigger, you can clone from them also. And so then the cycle keeps repeating and gets better and better. So eventually my ground cover will be a whole bunch of different kinds of mint in this area. And reseeding sunflowers and brassicaceae species. Figs, mulberry, fruiting white and purple mulberry. A lot of arugula will just become the weed here. So the whole goal in my food foresting is that we just keep planting all the food crops and medicine crops and useful crops, and then eventually they just become the weeds. And also researching what the things are that we are calling weeds, because like a dandelion or many other plants, chickweed, purslane, a lot of people think they're weeds, but they're actually really useful. Oh look, here's carrots sprouting from my carrot seeds that I got from my friend Scott. And so all the food that we don't eat, we let go to seed, so that way we can produce more climatized seeds. And then getting different kinds of heirloom seeds, so that way we can breed hardier and hardier strains. This is all organic. The only fertilizers are biochar, our chickens, and the cows and sheep. See, here's a comfrey plant. Comfrey plants are amazing. Bioaccumulators, put down super deep roots. Good chop and drop. Good animal feed. Good compost assisters. Bone knitter, make a bunch of different kinds of salves and such out of it. I heard that they wouldn't let ships sail in the past unless they had comfrey on board. So what's cool about comfrey is I could actually probably clone this more, but because it's got a good root and a little bit of roots on it, it'll go bigger. So we're gonna put this here And then you'll see in the future a big comfrey plant coming out of here, and we'll go over that more. Okay, here I call this fire and ice. It makes red flowers, but it's kind of like a succulent ice plant. So the gels in these plants really help you build your soil. They also are really hardy, and they shelter a lot. So a gel is like a liquid that acts like a solid, but if I squish it, you see all that liquid? It's full of water. So I use succulents, many different kinds. Still figuring out what kind of succulents work here, and also perennial, so I don't have to take them in the winter. But that fire and ice one works really good in this zone. Let's see, we got another goji berry, and we'll poke them in. And I do this about 8 hours a day. I find things I can clone and seeds I can put out, and I'm just perpetuating. Once I run out of space, I build another garden bed, and or I'll go through and I'll weed out the Bermuda grasses and such so that I can replant more in that area. Working heavily on perennial agriculture so that all the work I do will last years and years and years. There's probably going to be people who will sit under the shade of the trees that I've planted that aren't even born yet. A lot of the trees that I focus on live 800 years or more, or also, since we plant them, they're going to walk around the yard like Egyptian walking onions that are all over out here. They're going to be, you're going to see them, they're going to be one of the main weeds. Here's an Egyptian walking onion right here. These are Egyptian walking onions, and then so you'll see, I'll show you some here soon, but on the top of the bulb, instead of making seeds, it makes tiny onions, and it grows and then it falls over and it creates a new onion. Here's a pomegranate from a clone. So you can just cut branches off of many different plants and poke them in the dirt and make sure it's watered. And then, you know, if you find one tree of certain kinds, you know, in this area, it's very easy to do it with pomegranate, very easy to do it with fig, grape, goji berry, mint, and succulents. And so then if you have one big tree, you could turn it into 1,000 small trees that all turn to big trees. And I'm also planting them by seed too as I come across the seed, but seeds take a lot longer. So yeah, these Egyptian walking onions will eventually be a weed out here, so we'll never need onions. And they make a good onion. I mean, it's super tasty. It's not as big as like a red or a yellow onion, but it's pretty freaking triumphant because it becomes a weed. So you'll see, this right here is gonna take over the grass snitch. It'll be astonishingly beautiful. But see, I've gotten the soil to the point where we can get things out of it. And the more I chop and drop and then throw all the organic matter in here, we're going to build the organic matter. It'll sink more water in. So all the water that goes in here goes in and under the cardboard, wood chips, and chop and drop, right? Leaves, all kinds of organic matter that we put on here. And it's just going to make it better and better and better and better and better. And eventually, when this fills up with organic matter all the way, we'll shovel out the paths and put it up on top to fertilize them. But you don't really need to do that, because this will always be a track of organic matter. It'll be like hard dirt. I mean, this is fluffy and soft. I mean, look, I can poke it with my finger all the way. I can, you know, super soft, loamy soil. And it's going to get better and better as more roots and exudates. So my goal for this is, I only made the earthworks. There's no till in here. This is just all the dirt put on top, planted heavily. Keep adding organic matter on both the paths and the top. I also do compost teas, and we're getting all the roots to go in there. So eventually it'll become totally organic matter savvy, and this whole patch will become more and more and more fertile. Well, I've got a whole bucket of clones, and I got to do 3 more buckets this full today before I go home for lunch. So I got to get to it. I'll get better and better at filming and communicating while I do this. So I appreciate all of y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you really like this content, you can get our products at 50 Shades of Gray Matter and on Redbubble at We Wins. Well, have a wonderful day.